What's up guys, how are you guys doing today? Today's video is going to be about using Linux for professional creators. So let's get to it then. First, why should we use Linux for any kind of creative work? For professional creators specifically at the moment, well, let's see. First of all, Linux is open source. It gives you an extremely high amount of customization and flexibility to do anything you like. It's highly reliable. The community support and the commercial resources for public use are phenomenal. In open source, Linux has a huge variety of scalability. It can run on the smallest hardware to the most advanced hardware, so you won't have any problem with using different equipment and switching over. If you want to go from a beginner or an intermediary or a professional level, building on that, Linux is the only OS in the entire world that gives compatibility with cutting edge hardware. This kind of hardware which is used in Hollywood, in like Marvel's or Disney films, they are mainly using Linux for their graphical VFX, all kind of creative fiction. Only Linux does the amount of work that they need it. So Linux gives you more performance. The same hardware which you use on Windows or Mac OS, if the same hardware power is used in Linux, then you can get more power than in Windows or in Mac OS. You can have tailored workspaces completely tailored to you, however you like it. For example, like I'm using here, like you can see here, I have 9 workspaces, each having a different window opened or something else. You can change between them using gestures, as you can see here. So you can create a completely tailored workspaces where your productivity could be 10x or 20x or 100x depending on where you start at. You will get a significant boost for sure, that is a guarantee. And the last one, cost. This is the most important one. Linux does not cost you anything. Most of the software which runs on Linux does not cost anything as well. Though you have to change and learn and use different software which you're not familiar to, but they carry the same power or even better power than their alternatives, and they are completely free with no licenses. And in the work which you do in those software, you are the sole owner of that work, not that, for example, in Adobe or other services where they might own somewhat of your creation or have a license to use them or whatever, etc., depending on the privacy policies. Here, the work is completely yours. Now that's about why use Linux. Now, what to expect basically. So the first of all, the thing to expect is that it's going to be everything is going to be new. You might get some kind of familiarity somewhere, but most of the processes will be completely new. In Linux, when you use software, their focuses is on the creative core, not just the surface. And you might be thinking, what does that exactly mean? Well, that basically means that you're creating something not just to show on the surface, but to actually be able to use it, replicate it, manipulate it, etc. on the core, rather than just building it to just show one specific angle for one specific need. It works on high complexity, and with high complexity, you get greater customization as well as greater power to recreate with that. Here, let's see, yeah, new workflows. Of course, when the software is completely different, then you're going to be expected to get accustomed to the new kind of workflow which the software has. Though you can customize the workflow to some degree, to a highly great degree actually, but it can't be same as the previous one completely. It can come close. Linux does give you that capability, but it can't be completely similar to that. The workflow are different, they are harder to learn, but once you learn, they will be more productive than your old environment. For example, let me show you software which I use. I have GIMP installed in my system. GIMP is basically an alternative to Photoshop. This is GIMP 3.0. As you can see here, the workspace is completely different. If I open an image, for example, let me open the thumbnail of the video. As you can see here, it's somewhat similar, it's somewhat different. There are different tools, there are different icons, there are different categories as well. So you will have to relearn, but once you relearn, it is much better. And though you can customize it as well, they are highly customizable. Now let's move on to the next point. Deep learning through friction. Basically goes back to the first point that the learning curve is going to be extremely steep. It will be really hard to learn, not really hard, but hard. It's not going to be easy, but once you learn, it's going to be fabulous, and you wouldn't be able to reimagine your life without the software or the workflow which you're currently accustomed to. That is a reality, and that will happen, let me tell you. And finally, the last, this is actually an advantage of using Linux rather than Windows or Mac OS. Linux is used in every single piece of software imaginable except Windows and Mac OS. Everywhere else, Linux is used. Your Android mobile phone, there's Linux. Your smartwatch, that's Linux. Unless you're using Apple Watch, the toaster which you use, if it's connected to internet, there is Linux in it. The fridge you use, if it's connected to the internet, the website, every single one is running on Linux. Any kind of web hosting runs on Linux. Any kind of internet thing which you might want to do, that's completely runs on Linux. So using Linux to develop something for all these devices is relatively easy than using Windows to develop. You will get much more better tools, better performance, as well as a better output and a better emulator system to develop for this kind of devices instead of just using Windows, which, let me be frank, it only runs on one specific set of devices, which are not that much as in compared to every single electronic device. So Linux is exceptionally used almost everywhere. That's why you get an invisible advantage which really shows when you're working with it. Now finally, let's move to the recommended software which Linux offers. First is GIMP. GIMP is a powerful open source image editor. It offers a wide variety. It's basically an alternative to Photoshop, as you can see here. Then we have Inkscape. Inkscape is a professional vector graphics editor for Linux. It is perfect for creating and editing scalable vector graphics, SVGs basically. So if you want to do any vector stuff or vector graphics, this is your tool. We also have Krita. Krita is also an open source painting program designed for illustrators, concept artists, and comic book creators. It provides advanced brush engines and a user-friendly interface. Next, we move on to Blender. Basically, if you want to do 3D modeling, then Blender is your tool, and if Blender is the only software which is truly the industry standard, everything else is just kind of there. It is open source entirely, and it's great. It's a great also. It's not even an alternative. It is the main used. Next, we move to Kdenlive. Kdenlive is a video editing software. It's a decent video editing software, kind of an alternative to Adobe Premiere Pro. Though it might lack a bit of features on that, but mostly it offers all the major features which Adobe Premiere Pro, or what you might say, Final Cut Pro offers. Anyways, now let's move on to DaVinci Resolve. I am for some reason not able to open webs. I'm I am for some reason not able to open the website here. It's not loading, so I'll just show you pictures. DaVinci Resolve is a professional video editing software, like a truly professional one. Any kind of major Hollywood movie like Marvel or Disney are primarily made using DaVinci Resolve. It's a highly usable graphical is a highly used video editor and the person who knows DaVinci Resolve professionally. Next we have LMS. This is basically audio station workbench. It is primarily used for creating songs and composing songs using different instruments and whatnot. If you know your stuff, then this is even better than all its alternative. Else, if I just thinking of copying pasting thing like on GarageBand, this is not the software for you. At least not for me. It might be for you. Next we have Rose Garden. It's a music composition editing environment basically. It combines MIDI sequencer, score editor, and audio recording features. Then we have Audacity. It is the most popular software in the entire internet used for recording audio. Like if a person wants to record audio, they use Audacity. And let me tell you, its user interface is like really old. It looks really old. Still, 90% of people still use this software only because it's just that good. Next we have Siphon. I think I'm pronouncing that wrongly, but whatever. Siphon Studio is an open source 2D animation software. Basically, if you want to do any kind of 2D animation for any video or that, you can use this one. It is an, what you might say, advanced software. And as you can see, it's available for all three major operating systems. Then we have Darkstable. Basically, if you want to retouch photos, you can use Darkstable, though it is an highly professional grade software. Like I used it once and I couldn't understand what is going on. Like if you're professional in photos, you might be able to, even you might not be able to understand the complete features which it has. Then we have Natron. It is a VFX and motion graphics composing software. Of course, it's open source. Mostly are open source, not all, but it is a good one. It is a professional grade, of course. Then we have Singulara. It is an open source video editing software, though I have not used it. But as you can see, it is a big deal. 8K Ultra HD. It supports 8K video. I mean, even hardware for that in itself is really rare. So it is at one of the top levels. Then we have the most used software for any kind of creative purpose on any operating system, OBS. I'm using OBS. Everyone uses OBS. I don't know anyone who does not use OBS. This is the gold standard of the industry for video recording and live streaming. I mean, if a person is not using OBS Studio and using something else, they're either dumb or they hit their head in their childhood. Anyways, these are the major softwares which are available on Linux. There are other software as well, not that popular, but they are there. And they are somewhat good, somewhat might not be good. These all are the top level, and if you learn even one of them, then there is a guaranteed job opportunity available for you if you can find it. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.